Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Yeah, we got Craig today.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, so we're gonna let Craig kind of chime in on today's topic. It's a couple of ingredients in our superfood, which is Spirilina Chlorella, the amazing health benefits that have been experienced.
Many of them.
That have been experienced over and over and over. And before we kind of get into some of the details, because I'm going to be touching on some of the specifics of spirulina, Craig's going to be touching on some chlorella and its detoxing properties and all the things it does in terms of creating health. But let me just share with you some backstory as to why we are very, very adamant that we, as clinicians, we check people almost daily for superfood to see if it needs to be a part of their daily routine. So I'll give you some backstory. When my father first went to John Christopher School back in the, I want to say 90s, 80s, 90s, somewhere in there, maybe 90s. Anyways, he was educated on, hey Mike, thanks for joining us, the importance of nourishing really sick people. And there's some key things that Dr. Christopher was very adamant about when it came to providing people with dense, really bioavailable nutrition from day one so that the body could basically do three things. One, nourish itself properly. Two, act like a blood transfusion, if you will, to purify and clean the blood, because we've all heard that, the blood is the river of life, and in most people it's a swamp, unfortunately, because of the things they have been eating and the stressors and things of that nature. And then thirdly, that it has really high dense enzymes, okay? Enzymes are life. Everything that takes place in the human body, every biochemical process, every time the heart beats and fires, every time the brain synapses takes off, every time you move a muscle or have a thought even, there is an enzyme reaction somewhere in the body that takes place that starts and stops that cycle of action. Enzymes are critically important to performance, and the biggest bulk of enzymes that we get and can utilize for performance comes from our diet, comes from foods. Well, standard American diet, right? Abbreviated SAD, is not really rich in the bioavailable nutrition, the vitamins and minerals, the blood purifying, blood building situations, because most people that have chronic illnesses or also have an underlying anemic problem in the blood, and they're not packed with enzymes. And so that's why John Christopher really instilled in my father this understanding that you must cleanse and nourish the body. And the best way to cleanse and nourish the body, when all else fails, when all other things fail. Hey, Stacy, thanks for joining us. When all else fails, you have to cleanse and nourish the body. It was a foundational principle that I've been raised with in clinical practice since day one. So we're going to talk about a couple of these ingredients that are in there. John Christopher was very high on it. Also, for those of you who haven't had a chance, because we are actually recording for Total Wellness Radio at the same time. Hey, Stacy, thanks for joining us. If you go back to episode 178 on iTunes, it should be a lady by the name of Catherine Arnston. Catherine Arnston became passionate about just the two ingredients that we're going to talk about, which, by the way, when we refer to superfood and all the different things that are in it, these are just the top two ingredients found in there. There's a lot other nutrition that's packed in there. We're just going to touch on the top two. But Catherine Arnston has a company called Energy Bits. Energy Bits was founded and came into fruition because about 14 years ago or so, I want to say, Catherine's sister was diagnosed with cancer. And the oncologist, get this, the oncologist told them that if she would get a very high alkalizing, very nutrient dense diet going, that's how she would stand the best chance of beating cancer. And so Catherine was the one that's done some, we don't have some of her research with us, but if you go to energybits.com, one word, energy, B-I-T-S, bits.com, and if you ever want to get some of her products, you can, actually we have a deal where you can enter in Total Wellness as a code with her if you want to try some of her products, and she'll actually give you a discount. That's one of the things she did for us for being on Total Wellness Radio. Anyways, great, and they're tabletized. They're a little easier to take. and they're much more portable. I just don't think they're as packed as dense as what we have to offer with the powdered version, but it's a good product nonetheless. Her sister's still alive, doing great, survived the procedures. Her health is almost completely restored. Several years ago, she was shown to be cancer free. So, and that was interesting that recommendation came from the oncologist. And as Craig and I kind of go through some of our chosen ingredients like Spirilina Chlorella and kind of touch on some of the key things that we benefit from according to the research, according to the literature that's out there, and why we have it in superfood, I think you're going to understand why this positioned her to get healthy. So,
well, the alkalizing thing also came from Dr. Jensen.
Yeah, Dr. Jensen. If you go into our history and look up people like Otto Warburg and Antoine Béchamp, Otto Warburg got the Nobel Prize in Medicine for proving that if you alkalize the system, not all the systems, and that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
There's certain areas of the body that need to be acidic for proper digestion, especially in the gut, right there, stomach, not gut, stomach. And but these guys won, Nobel Prizes in medicine for showing that when you get the pH right in the body, you get the milieu, they call it, the fluid pH, and at the cellular level in the body, you create an environment where cancer cannot thrive. It's proven, hands down, time and time again.
Doesn't like it.
Yeah, you do not have a chemotherapy deficiency for your when you're told you have cancer. It's not a chemo deficiency. Certainly isn't a scalpel deficiency or any other immunosuppressant drug deficiency. It's 100% related to nutrition and the level of toxicity that is present. Now that goes into Dr. Ushiako Omura, New York Hospital. Here's a man that studied cancer for 33 years. His toxicology and pathology reports always showed consistently, hands down, almost every time, a couple of markers. One was the presence of a foreign metal or chemical, poisoning the system, suppressing the immune system in his analysis for 33 years, and allowing the suppression of that immune system is what allowed cancer to thrive, which had a virus component to it. So,
and also had usually a viral.
Yeah, virus component. Yeah. So, anyhow, I want to give you a little backstory because it's important to understand these are foods that are nutrient dense, they're bioavailable, they have tremendous healing as well as detoxification properties. That's one of the reasons why I believe Dr. Christopher was so high on them. When he started his journey in the 50s, 60s, 70s. One of the things that we're excited about, David Christopher, his son, still has the School of Natural Healing in Utah, Springville, Utah, and it's the oldest herbalist school in the country to this day. 53 years old, I think. It's 53, 54 years old, and been around as long as I have. And David's going to do the podcast with us here in the near future, so we're real excited about that and get his take on why his father was so adamant that superfood on a consistent basis was a key to longevity, a key to restoration, a key to positioning the body to get back into optimum performance. And that's what... And balance, yeah, harmony. I mean, that's what we're all about here. So I've ranted and raved long enough. I hope I've given you kind of some backstory, some framework for this discussion. We're going to dive into some of the things that just the first two ingredients on superfood actually contain. So what do you got to share there, sir?
Well, when people ask, well, what is Chlorella? It is a genus of green algae. And it's found, they get it mostly from the sea, but it can be derived from fresh water. Because there's algae in both of those. It's a plant, and it's some of the things that it's
single-celled,
yes.
Single-celled. So both of these, just I want to throw it in just for a second. What that
it's
means to us,
actually alive too.
100%. What that means to us is it's extremely easy. It's not complex. So it's not complex-based nutrition that's hard for the body to utilize.
Yeah, the difference between, like Chlorella and Spirulina is they break down like that, meat
Yep.
takes hours
Yep.
for
Very
our
good point.
bodies to break them down.
Good point.
So, and there's things in this stuff that help with so many different things.
We live in a goiter belt
Mhm.
part of the country. Goiter belt meaning we see a lot of thyroid stress due to the lack of good quality food grade iodine and other trace minerals in the foods that people are eating. So we're a lot of thyroid problems, a lot of thyroid stress, a lot of blood work that shows TSH is off the charts, endocrine system and dysfunctions. And one of the things we found, people that take superfoods on a regular basis, one of the cool things about it is that it actually corrects deficiencies and then restores function. So initially the first few weeks or maybe even 6 weeks of taking superfood on a consistent basis, most people's experience is detoxifying.
Yeah, it starts cleansing.
It starts pulling heavy metals and chemicals right out of the system. So that's the first thing that people will notice with those ingredients. The other is that it actually helps to, according to the literature, it helps to bring into balance the GI tract when there's a yeast overgrowth suspicion, like candida, right? Now you'll look on the label and it says there's yeast as one of the main ingredients, right? But that's a nutritional yeast. There's about 600 different forms of yeast fungus. Not all yeast fungus feeds or an overgrowth, right? Nutritional yeast, for most people, we test it, right? We always test things. But for most people, they have a very strong positive response when they put superfood in the daily diet. So it helps with that overgrowth. And it really helps correct also, the bigger picture is this term called leaky gut. Leaky gut syndrome can be really enhanced and improved by people who are getting this kind of nutrition in the body constantly, because at the cellular level, it helps to restore integrity.
Yeah.
So
In the gut itself, and that means small intestine, large bowel. That's where all your nutrients are drawn. Well, most all of them are drawn through that area. And when you've got leaky gut or you've got any kind of digestive issues, you need things that help to feed you while not causing a lot of stress on your digestive system. And that's where superfoods come in handy. Especially if you can add them to smoothies and stuff to where you get higher density nutrition that's actually feeding your body recognizes it, and it actually can absorb it very, very simply without having to use a lot of energy to break it down.
That's a great comment too, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, because Dr. Christopher was very, very adamant about herbals had two primary properties always. They were nutritional and they could also be medicinal. Okay, so they carried both components to them. They carried the genuine materials, raw materials, to aid the body's natural ability to improve performance, but at the same time it had the natural raw materials to improve its nutritional needs, right? Its enzyme needs, its endocrine balancing needs, its cardiovascular, huge for cardiovascular support, right? Cleansing of the blood. For some people, reducing cholesterol issues, they'll see that type of thing as a byproduct with superfoods. So, hey, you're very welcome, Carol. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Hey, Thelma, thanks for joining us.
Some of the other things that it does is it nourishes, rebuilds, and repairs. It handles basically all three of the things that we're really interested in
100%.
trying to help people get well. These two products that are in our superfood are very high level food for the human body, because they are, like you say, a single cell, easily digested, easily absorbed, and used as nutrients.
Very little waste.
And yes,
the delivery system, like was with Christopher, he loved tinctures. Extracts of the properties. When you swish them in your mouth and swallow them, you start getting a transmucosal effect where it actually helps bring those therapeutic properties directly to the bloodstream. Directly to liver process, boom, it takes it to the liver. Then
it doesn't even have to go through the stomach. It doesn't have to go through all
that bypasses.
It It gets picked up sublingually. I guess
yep.
is the best
Yep,
way.
transmucosal, right through the glands right through the glands. And so superfood being a liquid or a powder that you can swish and swallow and kind of you're going to start getting those properties. So again, boosting energy is a huge one. Having huge boosts in energy. We see a lot of people who have long-term use of that see a lot less sinus type recurring issues going on. Now,
because it supports the immune system so strongly.
I agree. I have some theories on that at least I've observed clinically. I can't prove it, right? We've never done any double-blind, placebo-controlled studies to prove this, but 20 years of giving people superfood, I can assure you we've witnessed a lot of changes, and this is one of the areas. A lot of sinus stuff, a lot of allergy stuff can be contributed back to yeast and that leaky gut stuff that I talked about earlier. This is one of the things that this really promotes natural support for the body to correct that, right? And when we have, because of diet, lifestyle, and stress, positioned ourselves to become ill and have these types of things develop, what happens is superfood comes in there and reverses that flow. It really reverses that. So you'll see people that have chronic, because they'll look at the label and say, oh, it's got yeast in it, it's got this, it's got that. So yeah, it's got grains. I can't have grains. It's sprouted. There's none of the proteins in it, right? It's just the nutritional side of that grain that's been sprouted. So it's much less of an allergen potential.
Well, it changes the molecular structure when it sprouts, doesn't it?
Well, it just again, you're staying with very easily absorbed nutrition without the protein hit.
Yeah.
Right? You're not getting all that protein that, like corn, wheat, right? Rice can be real problematic for a lot of people. And I'm here to tell you, if you're waking up with any kind of sinus drainage or congestion first thing in the morning, you're eating something your body wishes you wouldn't. Now, does that mean you have an allergy? No. But your body is giving you a sensitivity signal that you need to pay attention and look at that. And superfood can help correct the gut, correct the lining, correct this leaky gut, bring back in balance. Amazing with the being 70% protein packed with B vitamin nutrition as well. That stamina, energy, mental clarity, focus, concentration, decision making, memory, less irritability, sleep patterns, things of that nature, all will show over time. Now it takes about 90 days to correct nutritional deficiencies. That's the key. That's number one. People don't want to hear that because we want to take one dose of superfood and feel like Superman right now.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't work that way. The other is that we have to change some of the habits that could position us to get sick to begin with. And we don't want to hear about that either.
But
sometimes.
Believe it or not, you can drink superfood and actually feel the difference of days when you drink it and days when you don't, how you feel, how your energy levels are, how your sleep is that night. Believe me, you can feel the difference.
Yep. So, anything else you want to mention on that? I'm just a real fan. I think it's an amazing thing. Please go to the Total Wellness Radio podcast. Listen to episode 178 with Catherine Arnston with Energy Bits. It's worth listening to. I think she's going to be on again sometime in the near future. So, you just can't go wrong. Now, the taste is not the greatest. It kind of tastes like a freshly mowed yard.
Yeah.
But there's recipes for that. You can disguise it. You can, put 3 or 4 ounces of apple juice in there, good organic apple juice with some water and a little half an avocado to make it creamy, and a cup of blueberries or blackberries, kind of change the color from green to purple. And it's got beetroot powder in there, which is great for the liver. It's got dulse and kelp, which are going to help support thyroid and endocrine function as a whole. Trace minerals for hair, nail, and skin quality. And there's just so much too, and there's
actually real grasses in there too, like wheat grasses and things that are very fibrous to help with bowel movements. If a person has a little bit of trouble with their constipation and stuff like that, you start drinking superfood. Over time, I can pretty much guarantee you that you'll start having a little bit softer and more regular bowel movements.
Yep, I have interesting that this was brought up last night. Everybody kind of knows, or they're aware. I kind of like to play cards, right? That's one of my pastimes. I get to do it once or twice a week. Anyways, I was over at the get together playing cards last night, and one of my buddies was there, and I put him on superfood a while back.
Mhm.
Well, he ran out, and he hit me up last night. He says, "Hey, you gonna be around Thursday?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I got to get some more of that green stuff, man." He says, "I notice a huge difference when I'm not taking that." And it was just two things, but it was two things that really got his attention. One, energy, and two, very consistent elimination. Yeah, because it's a detoxifier. So that's one of the cool things about it is it's not just to nourish, it's designed to actually pull and decongest and detoxify and so forth. So
And basically that's what you want food to do. You
Yes.
want your food to take care of you, not just be tasty.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the problems that we have in modern society here is, you know, we eat for pleasure rather than nutrition.
Yeah. Pleasure, not purpose.
And we need to start eating more for purpose and nutrition.
Couple of announcements coming up. What do we got, Craig? We got, we did, boom, Wednesday, October, we did.
We've got class next week for Nutrition 101.
Is that next week?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, let's see. The 22nd. Is that right? 22nd of October. No, it's actually, the 22nd of October
Mm-hmm.
will be Nutrition 101 and Chapter 11. Chapter 11 from the Ultimate Healing System will be our topic of discussion. And the weekend of the 26th and 27th, Becca and I are going to be in Chicago. We're doing a Who Do You Know in Chicago? We're going to be out there at the Trinity Health Fair. Dr. Tenpenny, who is one of the world's leading authorities on vaccines, will be there lecturing. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn from Cleveland Clinic out of Cleveland, Ohio on cardiovascular health will be there lecturing as well. Dr. Joel Wallach, who did the series Dead Doctors Don't Lie, will be there, and we'll have some of our interns, past interns, Dr. Sheila Shaver and her husband Scott will be there. She's lecturing Sunday afternoon there in Chicago, and Nicole Kimmel with the AANWP, the American Association of Natural Wellness Practitioners. We're going to be out there, and we're going to spend some time with them. So we're looking forward to seeing and meeting and greeting and spending time with practitioners and continuing to update and upgrade any up-to-the-minute information on what we can do to help you guys optimize your health. So
Everything we do is trying to help you.
Yeah, that's right. So for Craig Morrison, this is Dan Young. Thank you for attending and tuning in to Wellness Wednesday. Take care, guys.
Have a great day.